Uh, so last week I came back into this space, which is the back end the um, of the workshop downstairs, and I felt really inspired to try to do something with all of this material back here. So that way we can then take the slab roller that's here, spin it around so that the handle is on that side, and then slide it closer to the wall. Let me see if all that's in the camera. There's a lot of stuff on the floor here, so that's why you see me bobbing and weaving. But yeah, so my kind of quest to address this area really started when I chiseled my way, I don't even know if that's the appropriate term, but past the decorating area, so where the glazed buckets are over here. And then I came over to the woodenware rack and started getting it. You can still see that there's some material that I need to address in the bottom, but in the back corner over there was an old warm morning coal and wood stove that is now over by the furnace, and we're hoping that we can get it attached to a flue where the current boiler is, or furnace, because the furnace died shortly after we purchased the building, and it'd be nice to have heat this winter. But as I came back, so right over here, there's, actually, let me see if I can just move the camera a little bit. So right there is an old pipe threader that the plumbers had used. We're going to see if we can donate that to the Museum of Industrial History here in Bethlehem. And if I've mentioned this in previous videos, please, pardon the repetition. I'm just trying to capture all this the best that I can. But so I had chiseled my way through here, and then now I want to be able to move that green cabinet, which is going to be a whole nother process. But what I now need to do is tackle this rack here, and then this metal rack here. And it's just like a bunch of random stuff, which is, I don't know, sometimes it's intimidating because I look at that, it's like I have no idea what to do with it. It's going to take me 2 weeks to go through it, and then sometimes it takes 3 weeks, and other times it takes me 15 minutes. So hopefully this is the 15-minute variety. But you can see there's a lot of the large cones here, and I'm assuming that these cones, I don't know if they were maybe witness cones in the electric kiln downstairs, but my assumption is that they're primarily used in the gas kiln upstairs. And the reason I say that is because there's just no evidence of large cones anywhere near the electric kilns, but there's just large cones everywhere upstairs. What he primarily used in the electric kiln were small cones that were like, I don't know, like that big. So yeah, I got to go through this. You can see right down there, I may have mentioned this before, that is a hot plate that has wax in it. And that's what he used to wax the feet of his pot. So he just get that warmed up, and then he just give it a little dip. So I thought that was pretty ingenious. So yeah, I think that the steps for this, it's logical, is first I want to get rid of the green cabinet and move that to where the table is up front. And I'll show you that shortly. So I'm going to do that and then address all of this. And then we can start working on this slab roller, which you can see is also just a mix of random things, both kind of on the top, but then also on the bottom. But I think before I can do any of this, I need to go and address that table. So I'll take you over there now. Okay, so this is the desk that I want to move out of the way, so that way I can, let me see if I can get in the shot here. So I can grab the filing cabinet that's way back there and then roll it over to here. It just seems to make the most sense right now. And then what I'm going to do with this table is, well, first I'm going to take it apart. The legs do come off. I'm going to take it apart and then take it upstairs into that space that we're calling the office. I shared a few photos of it in either the last video or the video before that. So we're going to haul it on up there just to kind of make room for it. But I need to go back through some of the old photos that we have, and there's also some really good photos of this downstairs workshop on Jeff's memorial site that his friend Terry and Susan had put together. And Lord, I hate to keep moving you guys around, but I want to show you something. So there's a photo on there that I believe shows this table kind of right along here. There's a little vase, maybe of flowers. So I don't know, it just looked like maybe a little workspace. Yeah, and I'm really gonna have to go through there and see if I can find that photo. And I'm almost certain that it's on the memorial page. And if it is, I want to see if I can get permission to use that in this video, just so you can see what I'm looking at. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, felt very kind of quiet and beautiful, at least the way it was captured in that photo. Yeah, so I need to move that, and perhaps now we're getting a better sense of the stages that we need to go through. In order to move this table, I need to find something to do with this microwave, but then I need to make sure that there's eventually room for this table up in the office. But even before that, after I take it apart, I essentially need to leave it down here because it's too heavy for me to take up these steps by myself. So I guess the steps are to find something to do with the microwave and then clear this off, take the desk apart, and then I can set it aside. Before the desk can go upstairs, I do need to make room, as I said, up in the office, but there's really no pressure to get that done today. But once I clear that desk out of the way, I can then get that filing cabinet and then just kind of start chipping away at the other stuff in the back there. And then I guess if I get bored or frustrated, I can always still try to address this wear rack right there. But again, the whole goal is to try to open this center area up and then reassess how the space is going to function for people making work. So, yeah, wish me luck. So the cabinet is obviously moved. So now what I want to do is just kind of clear out that area right there. And I'll wipe down that trunk and then move that towards the front of the warehouse as well. We'll just take lots of photos of it and catalog any of the contents, which I believe is just like two pretty nice blankets. Yeah, and then we'll see if one of our kids wants it, or we'll give it to the Goodwill or Salvation Army, something like that. But yeah, so I'm glad it cabinet's finally out of the way, and now I can just start kind of working my way that way. Okay, here we go. So I thought I'd take a brief moment to just share a little bit of insight on what our archival process has been like, specifically up here in what we call the warehouse area. Obviously, what you see now is not what it looked like when we first got here. I'll share some photos of that in a video. But what we did when we first came here is that we took several photos, like one from this vantage point that I'm on. Like I'm actually on a ladder right now. But we took photos from each corner. So one from back over there, one here, one in that corner over by where the bathroom is, and then one where I am right now. And then we kind of broke the space down into zones. So then we drew a map. So that's what this looks like right now. So if you can see number 5 right there in the left-hand side, that's this table right here. Number 2 that stretches the whole way across the page, that's the shelf up top. 6 and 7 were 2 tables that were right in the middle of the room. And that had a lot of his work, both on the top and on the bottom. And also, like, I shouldn't say just his work, because there's also a smattering of work from other people as well. And you can see there in the lower, if it'll focus, in the lower right-hand side, it says kiln. And then I have kind of like a dashed line around 12. And that just means that it was kind of like a cluttered area, just like number 16, 15, and 14 were. There's just kind of like piles of materials on the floor. But yeah, so yeah, number 9 is a kiln. Number 10 is this shelf right here. And then number 11 is that table right there. So now what I'll do is I'll show you how we use this map and the numbers to label the boxes. So that way we know where things came from. And we're not just relying on photographs, but so we'll know where they came from when we go and unpack them. So I'll show you that now. So now I'm up top on the shelf that is zone 2, and then looking out on this rack over here that is not on the original map, because I'm the one who put that there. But here, what we've done, I'll show you an example. And there's samples of this on our Instagram page, but I just feel that it's, I don't know, more effective if I can talk about it here on video. But so you can see here that it's W10S7. So W10 stands for Warehouse 10, Shelf 7. And then here you can see W10 S4. These pots came from the kitchen. And I will say that I had a lot of fun with those because, I don't know, like this building is full of pottery, and it was interesting to see like, well, what were the pieces that he wanted to be his like daily use pots? Like, did he use them because he cared a lot about them, or did he use them because he didn't care so much about them? We also have here it's a W5B. So what W5B stands for, that's warehouse zone 5, and B is for bottom. So let me scroll over here. So as I said earlier, that table was or is zone 5, and whatever was in that box was down below. Now with these other ones, so W10 S4, S4 stands for shelf 4. So that rack is W10. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that space right there, let me level that out. That's shelf 4. So in that space, there was once these materials. Now we can't always fit things in boxes. So like on this shelf here, I've got wooden wear rack. That's from downstairs. I believe I might have shown you that a number of times. Actually, I know I did. That's shelf 3. So that's the third shelf from the top. That's where these platters came from. So that's the way that we're cataloging things so far. I really don't see us deviating from that because it's working. See my fancy light setup there from the video that I just took earlier. But yeah, it's working, and I think that between that labeling plus just the thousands of photos that we've been taking, that when it comes time for actually constructing the digital archive, we'll have all the information that we need. Man, it's such a clutter back there. We'll get to it. Yeah, hope that made sense. So it looks like this back area is going to be of the 2 to 3 week variety of project. There's a lot going on back here, and I just want to make sure that things are documented appropriately, and that I just really take my time with this, because there are like random odds and ends, but there's also I don't know, patterns to it, and I'm not quite sure what's happening. So rather than disturb it out of ignorance, I'm gonna just take it slow and just write everything down as best as I can. One of the ways that I'm starting that is, so I created a new map. Actually, the light here is terrible. Okay, so like DS1, so DS stands for downstairs, so DS1 is that kind of tan colored locker back there. The red shelf is DS2. The thing with all the cones on it, that rack, is DS3. Presently I'm working on DS4. Let me zoom in here. So DS5. So by the way, I drew this really quickly. Yes, my handwriting is terrible, but it's not always this terrible. So DS5 is that green filing cabinet that I recently moved. DS6, as you can see, is a black trunk, and then we have the wood stove, the pipe threader. then we have the woodenware rack. Wow, this is not focusing for anything. Slab roller, and then the pug mill. Now the thing with the slab roller in the pug mill area is, more so the pug mill area, it's not true to how it was when we found it. But I do have photos that can kind of give us a clearer picture of how that was. But it was documented, but just it wasn't documented with this new coding system. But the reason why I've decided to do this is, like, as you can see here, like each of these shelves just has a bunch of stuff that just looks, you know, at first pretty random. So I've already been taking stuff off of that shelf, and it's going in this box here. And I'll pull this thing out here. So, like, why is it on a thing that has like this plastic tarps and looks like user manuals? We also have this bucket here with these bits of pottery. So they look like it's a mix of broken pottery and test tiles. I haven't washed this off yet, but it says ED gold, yellow, and I shouldn't have done that. And something green. Anyway, so, like, I'm not quite sure how to document this just yet. So what I'm doing is I'm putting them in boxes according to shelf. So this will be, so that's shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3. So this will be documented as DS4S3. I'm gonna move us over here. So, like, this box here is DS4S2, and then this bag with this little tackle box in the bag over there is shelf 1. But, like, what I need to figure out is, so on the second shelf in this box, you can see there's just a whole bunch of, like, tools, a bunch of wire. There's a blow dryer for drying things. So something was, he was using that space for something very deliberate. And I just really need to figure it out. It's kind of similar to what we, I keep going back and forth, sorry. It's kind of similar to what we learned when we saw on this shelf here. He had all of his brushes. His maker mark was on this shelf, and we could kind of deduce that these were the tools for decorating. Right here on this table was the banding wheel, which is kind of just sitting there for right now. So you knew that he went from here and turning around here to do decorating, and then his glazing was over here. So there's obviously a logic to the way he has things set up, but I haven't figured that out back here yet. So that's why this is going to take a bit longer than I had anticipated, but that's cool because it all evens out in the end, because there's other projects that I think are going to take just forever, and then you know, in a matter of moments it's done. So it's just all about trying to train my eye to recognize you know, what's going on and when to slow down and when we can speed things up. So yeah, back at it.